Hello and welcome to Jill Cameron Creations. Thanks for joining me today. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss a single thing. Today we're going to create a card with a popped up border. This technique is super popular right now and I love the look of it. The sentiment is on the background and it's kind of sunken, and you have all of these elements popped up around the edge of the card, and it's mostly been florals. And I wanted to kind of simplify it so that you could see how to do this technique very easily. I'm using a rainbow of colors from scrapbook.com inks. They're hybrid inks, and I'm going to stamp them twice. The stamp set that I'm using is a Study in Watercolor by Altenew. I'm using my mini Misty so that I can stamp in the same place more than once and have perfect alignment. You can use whatever inks you have on hand, but I'm going to tell you real quick the ink colors that I'm using from scrapbook.com. Cardinal Red, Orange Spice, Daffodil, Succulent, Postal Blue, Mardi Gras, and Confetti Pink. I stamped each of these twice because I'm using mostly solid images, and solid images most of the time require a double stamp to make sure that you get good ink coverage. Now that we have all of our images stamped, let's go ahead and get those cut out with our coordinating dies. I'm using a Spellbinders Platinum 6 die cutting machine, and to hold my dies in place I use little pieces of washi tape. I have tons of washi tape and I just go ahead and use it because I don't use it for anything else. Now that we have all of our elements cut out with our coordinating dies, we need to go ahead and stamp our sentiment in the center of our card so that we can build our border around it. I'm using a sentiment that is from Sweet and Sassy. It is choose faith, and the sentiment that I'm using is faith can move mountains. The sentiment in the center of the card is heat embossed. I'm using Black Pigment Ink and clear embossing powder. If you don't have Black Pigment Ink, you can also use black embossing powder and clear sticky ink like Versamark, or you can stamp in black and stamp over top of it in Versamark ink and then use clear embossing powder. There's several ways to achieve this look. I was struggling with my alignment a little bit, so instead of trying to stamp both of these at the same time, I decided to stamp them individually. I'm going to use one of the squares that's available for the Misty, and I'm just going to line this up in the center here. And I picked it up just to make sure that it was squared and it was aligned like I needed it to be. Now I'm going to go ahead and use my anti-static powder tool and also my ink and go ahead and get this stamped. Now we need to melt our embossing powder. Make sure that your heat tool is good and hot before you take it to your paper. It reduces paper warping. I also recommend that you heat the back of your paper. If you have warping, it will flatten it out a little bit. Now start building our border around the edge of our card. I am going to keep these in rainbow order, and I am just placing these one on top of the other so they're overlapping just slightly. I don't have any adhesive on the back of these. I have no foam tape on the back of these. This is just dry fitting everything where they're going to be. Now that I have all of my images in place, I'm going to pull out a piece of cling wrap, from the kitchen, and I'm going to press that down over all of my images, all of that border there, and make sure that everything is going to stick to my cling wrap here. It's just slightly tacky enough that it will pick up the paper. Peel the back away. Now I know that the inside of that border is going to be where most of the solid area is, where everything kind of overlaps and builds that solid area around that frame. So I'm going to use foam tape and just line it up. I can keep placing the main background of my card over top of it to make sure that I don't have foam tape sticking over the edges. I'm also going to put little pieces of foam tape on the pieces that are sticking into the card so that they will stand up after the card is completed. Now that we have all of our foam taped down on our little border here, we'll need to flip this over and put it on top of the background piece. That's actually simply done by picking it all up at one time. Then you want to hold it and press it down. I'm hovering at this moment. I'm looking to make sure that I have the placement pretty much where I had it before, and then I can flip this over, press it down really good, and then gently peel away that cling. Now we're not going to cut away anything just yet. We want to put this on our base, our card base first. So we're going to glue our card base and our background piece together. I'm using an A2 size side folding card. I've started using more side folding cards because I have a lot of techniques that work better with side folding than they do with top folding lately. So I'm going to press this down and hold it for just a second to make sure I have everything lined up. And now we can cut away our edges. I'm using a pair of larger scissors for this. The larger the scissor, the cleaner the cut. Don't use small scissors for this. You're going to hold the blade up against the edge of the card, and then you're going to trim it away. As you get further away from that edge where you can actually put the handle and the blade up against the card, you'll want to hold your card at different angles to make sure that it's straight and up against that edge. Sorry, I have bifocals, so sometimes I have to hold things at a different angle so I can see it. And there's our card. Now you could, of course, leave it like this. It's an absolutely gorgeous card, but I wanted to step it up just a little bit, so I pulled out my rainbow of jewel drops. And I went ahead and added some jewel drops to all the different colors. And I have used, let's see, what colors did I use? Strawberry Coulis, orange Marmalade, Limoncello, Key Lime, Sea Breeze, Pale Periwinkle, and Honeysuckle. I'll have all of the products linked below in the description. If you're thinking, I have 2 really quick downloadable classes that you should check out. The first one is my quick start guide, and it has all the information that you need to get started with card making. It answers a ton of the questions that brand new card makers have, from what kind of ink should you be using to the difference in all the different paper that's out there, paper trimmers, all of that stuff. That's totally free. Download that and it comes in a PDF. The second class that I have is basic techniques in stamping, die cutting, and heat embossing. And it goes over the best ways to get the best results for your cards. Check that out. It's over on my blog, JillCameronCreations.com. Just click on classes at the top. There's pictures of the finished card at the end here. And of course, head over to my blog for more tips at JillCameronCreations.com. And thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed how to create a popped up border for your card.